Today's episode of the Just Keep Swimming podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service offering over 10,000 books and the ability to listen to your favorite podcasts, including the Just Keep Swimming podcast. I personally use Audible all the time and suggest you take a listen to Intentional Living by John C. Maxwell. In this book, Mr. Maxwell shares his story on how he was able to live a noble and purposeful life and gives you tips and tricks so you can do the same. So please start your 30-day free trial now at www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast, all lowercase. Again, that is www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast. And if you have any more questions or concerns for the Just Keep Swimming podcast, you're always welcome to reach out to us on Facebook or at Instagram at justskeepswimming_podcast, or you can email us at jkspodcast702@gmail.com. And with that out the way, let's dive into it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Just Keep Swimming podcast. This is your friend, your boy, your host, Mr. Adrian Jackson, and we back at it again with another great episode for you. And you already know who's with me. It's the man, the myth, the legend. It's Mr.
Hey, how you doing today?
Loser.
What? Wow. No, I'm just...
You didn't introduce yourself.
I did.
Mr.
Yeah, how you doing?
Okay, I guess. I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's written as underscore.
Underscore, right. He always underscores and shit.
That's how it's written.
He forgot to fill out his name on the Scantron.
I didn't forget. I just erased what they had on there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I just take the F, huh?
Yeah, nobody.
I like it.
Yeah.
How you feeling today, bro?
I'm all right. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. No complaints on this end.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Shit.
Yes, sir.
Got me a haircut and had some church and had me a nap, and then we had some good games with our guest today, who is Mr. Gerald. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. It's good to see you guys.
Are you?
Yes, sir.
Maybe. I don't know.
Huh. How will you know?
It ain't for me to know.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
But it's good to see you, Adrian.
Yeah, good to see y'all too, man. I'm sitting here like, what the hell y'all been smoking on?
He's nothing. I don't know about him.
Been smoking on...
Wow. You ain't no name, huh? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to just dive right into this bad boy. So for today's episode, I have a topic that I kind of just been thinking on for the last week. So I guess today's topic is going to be, I am not the same old me. And I kind of got this idea from trivia because the answer to one of the questions was Jenny from the Block, J-Lo. And I was like, interesting. You know, I never thought about the plot of this song, but you know, she's like, don't be fooled by everything that I have. I'm still Jenny from the Block. And I kind of thought about that in reverse, like, you know, she's still saying she's the same old girl or whatever, the same OG, but at the same time, she has changed. So I'm kind of want to do the opposite in the episode and really talk about, I'm not the same person from the block. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the same person I used to be growing up. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think that would probably be a good topic for today's episode. So my first question is, just to start this all off, is how do you know that you have changed? In any aspect, how do you know you've changed in life?
I feel like you tend to know when you changed when, like, you're able to take a breath from what you usually would react to, or what you would say in a situation, or what you would rather do given a certain opportunity. To kind of like give like a recent example is I was supposed to go to like a rave last night. I already bought a ticket like a month or so prior, but I was like, yeah, no. I'm good. I already have a lot on my plate. I want to just come home and like rest and do what I want to do. Despite all the people that were trying to convince me to go in the first place.
Right.
And I was just like, no, I just want to stay home. And I feel like that I think Fernando kind of pointed it out too. It was like, yeah, I'm glad you stuck to your guns on what you said you were going to do. I was like, yeah, I just, you know, things are different, so I have to kind of act different.
Right.
And I think that just brief moment on like really sitting and thinking like, do I really want to go? Do I really want to do this? As opposed to recognizing when I would just like go full throttle towards whatever the fuck.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely like in the moment it may not seem like you've changed, but at the end of the day, like for most people that have changed, it's either like somebody notices it and like mentions it, or you even notice it in yourself as well. And then that's when you really notice that you've changed. I don't know how to tell, like, I don't know how, it's kind of hard to preemptively determine when you've changed unless you really like sit down and look at it to a certain extent. Because like even for me, I used to, like with certain relationships that I had, whatever, like between family, friends, whatever, like I used to talk a certain way, I would react a certain way, and then I noticed the change of turning those reactions and like habits of like responses and things like that and interactions into changing it into, should I do this or should I not do this? Because there's different avenues there too.
Right.
And whether or not the immediate reaction is the good or the bad decision doesn't really matter, but noticing that
you're different now.
I'm different now because I'm asking that question at least.
Yeah.
So it's like shit like that. It's like you don't notice the change until like you look for it.
Right. No, and it's truly understandable because as you guys were talking, the thing that popped in my mind is always the gym change. You know, like people always, you know, you go work out, you're doing the work to change yourself, but you don't really notice it because you're in your body and you're doing the work every single day. So it's slow. It's very, very slow to you. You don't see it. You're not seeing what you want. But at the same time, it's always that case where you go to see a cousin you haven't seen in a while, and I'm like, oh, damn, you lost weight. And you're like, I have? You know, maybe I did. Maybe I do look a little slimmer now, you know what I'm saying? And you be like, oh, maybe I have changed because somebody made you aware of the change that you weren't aware of. Or just like how Donovan said earlier, I love that part as well, as in, you know, I realize I'm acting differently in a certain situation, you know. What used to tickle my fancy doesn't tickle it anymore. If that makes sense. I won't use that term, I don't know why. But yeah, so like the things that used to get me off, the things that used to excite me don't excite me no more. And I kind of felt that today on the football field. So as I was reffing today, there was this one, mind you, I'm the only person I'm one of the only people that be on this field all the time. People give me compliments saying you're a great guy, good job ref, appreciate you. Today I had one lady, red hair, she was complaining about my reffing. She was talking about I'm not calling calls, I'm not doing stuff. And, you know, in the back of my mind, you know, so I had a few options. I could have been like, I'm just gonna annoy her ass, fuck it, whatever, who cares, you know? Or I could have jumped back and be like, you know, where's your ref shirt at? I don't see you got a ref shirt on. You want my whistle? How long you been working here for? You undercover? You know, I could have been an asshole and been like, bitch, you ain't working. You ain't reffing, so shut up. Just watch the game. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I did? I'm gonna tell y'all what I did. I text the field manager. I was like, hey, I think this lady's gonna complain on me today. Can you send me the phone number to the head office so I can give it to her so she can make sure she calls the right office? Because, you know, this is my first complaint. I'm kind of excited for it. You know what I'm saying? They said, don't worry about nothing because my other supervisor was over there. He was watching the game. He was right there with me when the call happened. So he was like, don't worry about it. If she do want to call, I'll make sure to answer the phone. But here's the number. Give her this number. Tell her to call me pretty much. So after the game, I walked over there to her and I was like, hey, ma'am, you know, I understand you had some issues with my reffing today. And, you know, here's the phone number for the head office so you can just call and just let them know my name's Adrian. You know, just let me, whatever. Whole situation changed. Oh, no, it's okay. I don't want to report you, nothing like that. I was having an issue because of that one play the kid put. And, you know, she started debating the play and shit. And then it turned out from, like you said, her being mad, ready to complain, to her wanting to sign up to volunteer for the events. You know what I'm saying? To volunteer to coach. Because she used to play flag football, and in all her years playing flag football, she ain't never seen that. And I was like, well, you know, come out here and volunteer. Come coach. You know, we need some female coaches. All the female coaches that do show up, I hate to say this, but they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And if you got experience playing flag football, you should come coach, and you might encourage some more females to want to come play. You know, and it was like, I walked away from that like, wow, Adrian, what did you just do? Like, you handled that situation in a way you've never handled a situation before. And it turned out way better than you could imagine that it would turn out, you know? And that was one of those signs. As I was leaving, I was like, damn, I hella changed. I must have switched up somewhere, because let this been 2 years ago, I would be like, man, you can either shut up or you can go my field. You know what I'm saying? I was probably more like hostile toward her or something like that. But no, I was 100% friendly. I kept respectful. Complain on me, please do. I want the encouragement, because listen to this book. They're talking about when you hear people criticize, you have two ways to take it. You can be mad and say, F them, what do they know? Or you can really look at their criticisms and say, are they valid? There might be some valid criticisms, and you know what? Thank them for their criticism and work on yourself to make it better. You know, and at the end of the day, I was glad she did do that, because I did start paying attention to I'm watching the quarterback a lot, but I'm not really watching downfield. So now I'm like, okay, you're right. Let me open my eyes up and look downfield so I can see the pass interferences and stuff like that. And I called a few after that. So it was like that comment was needed, though, because it helped me see something.
Right.
So like, I don't know if I got a topic, but the idea that I realized I handled this situation way different than I would have in the past was my sign for myself. It made me laugh, because it was like, wow, I've changed. You know what I'm saying? I changed a little differently. So yeah, that was my example, if that makes sense.
Not to steal your job.
Yes, please.
But I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So do you think that people ever create a big change at one point for certain situations, or do you think the changes happen like in small increments, so that over the span of time it seems like a large change happened, or like when you realize it seems like a large change happened, but it'll take like maybe years or so for that to happen? Like, so like for your whole situation, like, do you, like, were there ever times before where you handled similar situations, not necessarily complaints on the field, because you said that was like your first room,
right,
but like in a different situation, like something at work where somebody always got a fucking issue or something like that. Somebody's always got the problem, and then you always have to go and fix it, whatever, blah blah blah. And then after a certain point, then you're just like, I already know that this person's gonna ask for it. Why the fuck am I in a bad mood? Because I already know it's gonna happen anyway. So why am I making my day worse thinking about it when I'm just gonna have to do it anyway? So might as well, you know. But does that ever seem like a large leap in a short amount of time for you guys, or like small changes?
I think it's both for separate situations. I would say, going off of like what Adrian was saying in his example, because when I first started playing, or probably like a year or so after I was playing Dragon Ball FighterZ competitively and stuff, and I was playing online, I played this one dude, and we was going back and forth. We wasn't going back and forth. I was actually molly romping his stuff. Pause. But like, he would be one of those people that be sending hate mail through Xbox chat, like cussing me out. And like, I would say like before, you know, I would kind of take that shit personally, and then I may or may say something back, but either way, I would just get like a negative like reaction off of it. But I think just because of all the small instances in my life of just dealing with that shit, from like whether it's fair or unjust criticism just constantly coming at me, and I got a better way to handling it, it was just, I kind of laughed at it, and I was just like kind of responded to him, and I gave him just general tips, and it's like, yeah, well, I did this because of that, blah 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 blah. And I ended up making friends with him, and we was just cool. I added him, and then we played a couple times, like just in like, you know, lobbies and shit like that. But I think in that situation, it was just like a whole bunch of small moments that just kind of led up to that big shift that I noticed in myself, and then that kind of just you know, rolled over into the future from that point. I would say another situation where, you know, it was just a big change off the bat was when I had my come to God moment, where I was doing hella drugs and shit like that, and once I had that divine encounter, it was just a complete flop from that. I wasn't doing that shit anymore. I wasn't, you know, want to just go out, and then to kind of go back onto the last point, from that moment, everything just kind of started to shift, even for the years that came afterwards. Right. So I think it's just a bit of both. Whether you can pinpoint those big instrumental changes or those small ones at all, I think it just probably takes one important event to kind of happen, and then it just kind of goes from there, or vice versa, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I feel you on that one, and so I agree as well. I think it matters what the change is, because like the situation I had just now, that was a change that's been working over years from me reading a book, practicing meditation, doing affirmations to myself, such as, I control my thoughts, actions, reactions, me fixing my mindset. So when this stuff now comes at me, it doesn't affect me like it used to when I had the older mindset. But that right there, like you said, that right there has been, 1% every single day. I've been doing 1%. I'll try to read something new every day, learn something new. That's been like 1% change that I've been making every day. But I do agree as well that you have your ultimate big changes in life that just happen. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I don't know how to explain it still, but this is like one that just hit me, that it just always hits. I cannot eat corn dogs. I have no idea why, bro. Don't even remember when we was younger. Vanjie used to have corn dogs up the a-hole, like, pause. We used to have so many corn dogs. Pause, yeah. We used to have so many corn dogs, though. Like, she used to go buy, like, a box of, like, 100 corn dogs, and we used to eat those. Boxes. Yeah, exactly. So that's what it was. You got three grown boys with all three of them being athletes at the time. Like, yes, you need a lot of food. So that's what she did. She bought 100 things of Costco box, a box of 100 Costco corn dogs. And then one day, I went to go warm one up, and I tried to put it in my mouth, and I could not eat it. Like, I try to bite it, I can't swallow it. I try to chew it, my mouth dry up. I can't eat a corn dog to save my life now. I can go to a carnival, they smell good, but the second that shit get by my lips, I'm ready to throw up low-key. I just cannot do it. And like, that's one of those changes that I cannot explain. I don't know why. I remember got in trouble for it, because she was like, why aren't you eating the corn dogs? And I was like, I can't. What do you mean you can't eat a corn dog? You've been eating these your whole life. I'm like, I know, but I can't eat it. Like, it's just something about it, and I don't understand the change. So it's like those changes like that, it's like, as Donald would say, I would count that as like divine change in some odd way that you never understand, Like they always talk about, Joel Osteen talks about in his sermon a lot, as in like, the girl went and, I think he used his grandmother as example. His grandmother was trying to stop smoking her whole life, could never stop. His grandfather passed away. She was like, I'm about to get back into the dating scene. She met somebody, and when she met this dude, something about meeting this dude made her stop smoking, because she didn't want this dude to see her smoking. So she stopped smoking on the dot and hasn't smoked since then. And it's like, those are changes that happen based off of like the circumstance you're in. You're like, oh, I don't want to be looked at as this way, or I want to be able to fit into this box. Let me change right now. Yeah. And I think those are happening.
I was gonna say, what did you think about your own question?
I was gonna ask about that.
So, like, kind of just, I think both can definitely happen for sure, because there's so many people that just turn their life around instantly. Right. Something just happens, they're like, I'm fucking sick of this, let's change that. And then, like, even, like, the gym is the best example, because, like, at the beginning, you're gonna see that large growth. Right. Like, from 1 week to the next, it's like, oh shit, I can lift 10 more pounds on this lift, like XYZ. But then once you start getting to that first plateau, then you're just like, fuck, why am I even coming here still when I'm at the same spot? But you don't realize how big of a fucking change you actually made. But one story that kind of clicked for me with this topic was just my relationship with my mom. Because for the longest time, I just felt like I couldn't really talk to my mom for a lot of shit, because she was just always complaining about stuff, like sad about things, like blaming herself for not having a better relationship with me when I was younger, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's not at least the last one wasn't necessarily your fault. Like, it's just circumstances happened and shit fell how it did. So at this point, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Yeah. And so there was a conversation that I was having with her, and I just popped the fuck off. Like, I was talking not mad wild, but I was just bringing up some real deep shit and just not giving a fuck about her feelings at that point in time.
Right.
When usually I would just shut the fuck up, like put the phone away, like while she's like talking and all that type of stuff. And my mom had no response to what I had to say. None. And after that phone call, I was like on the brink of just breaking down crying because I felt so bad because I know how much I hurt her by saying that shit, but that change needed to happen where at least the change at that point in time was just us being able to communicate. Not even necessarily communicate in a good way. It's just us being able to communicate from both sides. And then for like 20 minutes, I was just trying to call different people to like talk to them about some shit. So like I called, because this was before we got really cool. I think this was my sophomore year in college, so you were freshman. So
because I was still in the dorms and we didn't become close until that summer. Well, no, it was the next summer. Yeah, next summer.
We were cooling more your sophomore year.
Yeah,
all that. But so like this might have been like 6 o'clock at night or something like that. So I tried calling my dad. He didn't answer. I tried calling my grandparents that used to live out here. They weren't answering. I was like trying to call people. And then I eventually called my grandma Lois, who passed away a few years ago. She was the only one that picked up. I was like, Grandma, I need to talk to you about something. I was just bawling on the phone. And she was like, what do you need to talk to me about? She thought I think she thought I got somebody pregnant or something. It was funny how she responded. I was like, nah, Grandma, I just had this conversation and all this type of stuff. Then she calmed me down. But after that day, we had like multiple conversations after that, and even to this day, we're able to communicate about that shit more, especially just me knowing that she's gonna be more sensitive and over emotional about certain topics and everything. And so I won't necessarily tiptoe around certain topics and everything, but I definitely have learned and changed how I send that information to her, where it doesn't seem like it's an attack,
right?
Because it's not. It's just shit is what it is.
No, I understand that, and I think that right there is beautiful right there, because that's like those, and that's like a change too that I think I was about to bring up as well, because that's like one of those, I don't want to say explosive changes, but it's a change that needs to happen because it's been boiling in you for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the ones that it hurts when it happens because you feel bad for blowing up. But then when you see the change that brought, you're like, damn, I'm happy I did do that. Because, yes, I probably vomited my emotions on her, but she needed all of that on her because now she can understand that, okay, this man is human too. And let me adjust myself as well. And then also on top of that, gave you clarity because now you got to see, okay, well, at the end of the day, she's going to be like this. You know what I'm saying? I can't change her that much, but I can adjust myself to make sure we can adjust and make ourselves better.
Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty deep, G. I thank you for sharing that. And that kind of led me to another question. I'm going to try my best to explain this. What is the difference between changing and morphing? Example. So the reason I use this term is with me and Tiara. I felt me and my sister always been cool. We never had beef or nothing like that. We never hated each other. We always loved each other. But we never really super close, I felt. Like, me personally, I said a few episodes ago, I looked up to Tiara and I was like, yo, I need to be like my sister. You know what I'm saying? I need to be there. So, you know, our relationship was she's big sister, big example, and I'm little brother and I need to get there. But then it was weird because I remember one day she called me in college and I'll never forget it. I was back by the business building by the old library over there and all the you know, they had like the private computers in the old library.
Yeah.
And she called me and I was like, oh, what's up, sis? And we talked on the phone for 2 hours straight. And I was like, I have never talked to my sister this long ever in my whole life. At what point did our relationship change, or did it morph into what it was being created to be? If that makes sense. Because it was like I said, at first she was his big sister, and then she morphed into sister. You know what I'm saying? She ain't bigger than me, she ain't better than me. She's just my sister. You know what I'm saying? She's truly my sister now. And I kind of felt that morph in our relationship. So I was just curious on, like, have you guys felt something like that before? Does that even make sense? Or does that constitute as change for you? Or what would you say?
My immediate reaction is just our relationship though too, because that's the same shit that happened to us. I don't know if you want to speak on that. Or something else.
Yeah, we can go into that. So I feel to answer your base question, right? I feel when you know it's the difference. Well, the difference between like a change and a morph is when something. A change is something where like it's just modified. Like, hey, let me think. Like changing your diet, right? Like you usually eat. Let's say you go to the gym, you need to get in the calories, but like a change is like what type of calories are you going to start intaking so you can be healthier at the gym and get the most growth, right? It's something just modified, as opposed to a morph is when something is, I feel, when it's like a full paradigm shift or something new is just completely introduced into like the situation.
Yeah.
So to go off of the morphing examples, I would say our friendship, we've always just been cool. Like, I mean, granted, we butt heads and shit like that. And, like, there's been some moments where it's just like, I'm not sure if I like this nigga, but like, but he cool though. Like, we always just vibe and pick up where we always left off, but it never get like anything deeper than that until when I moved back from Reno, and it was the summer between his sophomore or his junior year to his senior year.
Yeah.
To where there was just a certain set of circumstances that were introduced, like me going through my breakup, and then me getting the job and we're working together, and then because of that we're hanging out more, and then he went through his shit with this specific individual. But it's just like those circumstances cause the relationship to morph to where now we're getting under that surface level where that wasn't there before. Right. Like, in the example to what we called and talked like a couple days ago, like that wouldn't have happened unless those events during that summer happened in the first place. Right. And that's where, you know, something completely new is introduced, and then you can kind of take it there. Because let me give like another abstract example. Let's say you have Play-Doh, right? And you're trying to fit them into jars, right? Well, you can if you get a can of Play-Doh freshly bought, and then it comes in like a cylindrical form, take it out, you can put it in a ball, put it in, right? Or you can form it into a square and fit it in. But to fit it into like multiple small ones, because you're going to donate it to like some of your friends, you're going to have to morph it, take it apart, change it so it can be put into new forms to distribute out.
I feel what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think it's like there's something at its core has to change.
Yes. The core. There's a core value. There's a core instance that changes, and that changes the whole dynamic of the situation.
Yeah, it's kind of like going off of your diet example, where like a change would just be your calorie intake, or like say cutting out just like one specific like item or something. Right. Whereas a morph would be going from like a shitty McDonald's type of diet to like vegan or pescatarian or something like that. Like you're cooking all your own shit. Like that's a morph.
Yeah. Okay, so I was just reading. I just Googled real quick, and that's what they kind of explained. They said that morphine is going from a caterpillar to the butterfly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You still the same thing, but you just now got wings now. Yeah. Compared to change just seems like more of a broad word that you can use to explain morph, adjust, whatever the hell the case may be.
I was gonna say, I'll bring two examples. So a change was when I went through that breakup with Yesenia, and I just changed like how I acted towards people and like my general demeanor and what I thought about myself and what I started to do with my life. A morph is when I went through that, meeting God in a sense, and then from that my whole life went to a whole different direction because my core values and like my core itself has changed. I'm definitely not the same person that I was before that moment. And then to kind of just bring the Bible into it, it's like when God made himself human on earth and became Jesus and was preaching to the people, right? Well, he's human, right? But when he went to the top of Mount Sinai and became transfigured, so people that the few apostles that came with him saw him become transfigured to see all of his holiness. He was complete. He wasn't human at that moment anymore. He showed all of his full glory. From what he was to where he was in that moment, to what he was and to where he was in that moment, completely separate entities. His core has changed. He didn't have that humanness to him.
Right.
He was in that full divine.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I get what you're saying, and I think that, so I feel that the change leads to the morph. You feel me? Because my thing is, for example, if something would have never changed, you don't morph. If we're using a caterpillar example, they change up their diet to lead to the morph, to the butterfly. You know what I'm saying? Or like you said, you change from a carnivore to a vegan, and that morphed you into a yoga instructor or whatever the hell the case may be. But so that's kind of what I guess I'm looking at, because so with the situation I had, like you said, my sister had a change going on in her life that I felt helped morph our relationship into something different than what it was originally. If that makes sense.
One thing I want to interject just on that point of it. I think at least with like a change with like a certain relationship or whatever, it's changes from both sides, because you had to change too. It
Exactly. I had to change on my side, and she had to change on her side, and that morphed our relationship to something new. Exactly.
Because it's the same thing with us too, because he opened up a lot more, so then that made me want to open up more.
Exactly.
So I decided to change, and then that's when.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, based off of like what your story with your mom, I feel like that was also integral into us morphing our relationship to be able to do that in the first place. But one thing I want to say is, I don't think change always lead. I don't think you have to have change to lead into morphing all the time.
Of course not.
Yes. I think there's certain events that are out of your control. Like, for example, I forgot his name, but we had him on for an episode because he fell off the building, and then from that point he wasn't like an alcoholic. He stopped drinking.
Right.
I feel like that's just a morph that had nothing to do with change. So it's just, it happened to him, and that was just the result.
But then my thought is it had to, because he fell off the building. He can't walk, he can't talk, he got to go through a tube. So life changed for him, because what he knew life to be changed, and that morphed him into who he is now, being the instructor and the coach and all that stuff. You feel me?
Because I was gonna say, well, his life was technically morphed.
Right, because of the change that happened.
But it's so I think a way how to kind of clarify, at least like how I'm envisioning this, it's like, if we're gonna take it to like some Dragon Ball Z shit, right? You train every day and you get stronger and all that type of shit. But once you hit the Super Saiyan, that's the transformation, that's that mega form, right? So like you could do the Vegeta shit where like you're just training and putting yourself into that extreme position, but you're working your way up to get to that extreme position. Whereas Goku just fucking lost it, and then that's when he morphed into something different. So like I think the morph is that ultimate big change from like your base to what you are now.
But then, okay, so now let's go based off. Let's keep running with the Dragon Ball, right? Do you think when Krillin died and Goku went Super Saiyan, do you think that would ever happen if Goku went to King Kai planet, wouldn't have been on that ship training, didn't come down, fight the Ginyu Force? So all those were changes, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Everything he did was change. He became stronger and stronger and stronger, and then a catalyst caused the morph to happen.
But I think that still would have happened without him doing all of that, given the relationship that they already had.
Because my thing is on Earth, everybody died. I mean, of course, Krillin didn't die, but Piccolo died, Yamcha, Tien.
Krillin was still different. Krillin didn't die at that time.
He didn't die at that time, right.
But that's his closest friend that he grew up from, literally a kid up until that point. That's such a huge instrumental factor, like catalyst that happened. I think regardless, he would have transformed into Super Saiyan, whether he would have trained and fought all those, if he didn't train and fought all those people.
So I believe he wouldn't have, because he wouldn't have made it that far. If he didn't train and change himself before he got to Namek, Ginyu would have wiped him with the floor. You know what I'm saying? He would have been wiped up like everybody else was getting wiped up.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just circumstantial. On that, like, is the training, like, is the amount of training and stuff like that as integral to the morph as the Krillin shit? No. But they wouldn't have got to the point where Goku would have been fighting Frieza, and then Frieza's just sick of it and killed Krillin if he didn't train that far. So it's all circumstantial.
Yeah, because so then I'm trying to flip it too. Let's go with Gohan now. Yes, he was trying to go Super Saiyan, but he couldn't do it. He had to step on the dude's head. He died, and then that's what made him snap, and that's what made him open up and release the potential that he had in there. But if he would never changed growing up and been in a time chamber like, Dad, you're too soft on me. You had to. That was a change. You know what I'm saying? He had to change to say, you're too soft on me. That's why everybody said you shouldn't train me because you're too soft on me. You had to come hard at me. Okay. And that change in mindset is what caused him to morph when he got this. He would never been in the opportunity to fight Cell because Goku would have been like, nah, this nigga too weak. I'm gonna mop him right now. Because
at that point, he should have changed when Piccolo died.
Should have changed when Piccolo died. Exactly. Fair. When Piccolo, Trunks, all these people, like, there's a lot of death going on, and he didn't snap. But because he was training and he was already boiling, boom, that shit snapped.
Because there's certain events that I believe, like in real life too, not even just Dragon Ball Z. Because I shouldn't have brought Dragon Ball Z up because you already.
But it's perfect though. It's perfect because we all understand it. So
but there's the incremental changes that will stack up eventually.
That's what I think.
There's that, but there are certain parts like Krillin dying, 16 getting squashed, all that type of stuff, that will give you a large change.
That chunk quickly, right there,
that will push you over the edge of the morph.
Right.
Whether or not you could have kept going on the same trajectory of the small increments to get to the same point,
right?
That's up for debate. But ultimately, both can happen.
Right. So like, and like you said, this is me just making a assumption. Not to say I know, of course, what you've been going through, but my mindset is yes, you had your coming to God, but I kind of felt that you had to be thinking about that for a while before it happened. Like that thought had to been lingering. You had to been on this mindset of what am I doing? Where am I at? Where am I going? Is this really worth it? Should I do this? Before that incident really occurred. You know what I'm saying? So the change was happening, and then that right there was the catalyst to really pop it and say, okay, I need to change my life because now this happened. If that makes sense. Because that's kind of how I feel. I kind of felt like I was dying to learn something new and get out of here and be a new person or whatever. And then that's when all the books and stuff started to come in, and everything that I've been needing started to come in to make that catalyst that, okay, I can do this.
See, but that's why I'm like a little bit against the idea of like the changes always lead to the transformation. And like, well, I guess that depends on. So if we were going back to the Dragon Ball Z thing and where you were training to be able to get to that point to make that morph, right? Well, what if you change in the other direction?
Boom. So the main thing too is you have to want that shit to happen. If you don't want it to, because Gohan was sitting there crying, Dad, I want to turn so hard. You say I can do it. I believe you, but I don't know how. Squash, boom. Goku wants to defeat Frieza. He just killed Krillin. He's blowing up planets. He's evil. I want to defeat this man, but I don't know how. The catalyst happened. Boom. Now I'm snapping. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and see, I don't think that's what happened to me. Because in my head, like for where I was heading, I was not going anywhere. And then that morph happened, and then everything started to change to go back up.
So my question is how do you know you weren't going anywhere if you didn't think about you not going anywhere?
Because there was no thought of even going anywhere in the first place. That me saying I wasn't going anywhere was hindsight 2020. Like I knew, but also didn't know the path of destruction that I was heading down in the first place. I was just fucking living life and doing shit that was literally harming my life and about to rip it right underneath me.
Right.
And then that morph happened, and then that's where I am today. If all like, I don't know what else could have necessarily led me to that moment, other than just that divine intervention into making that morph.
Right.
Because I wasn't necessarily even then I feel like that's somewhat kind of unrelated from the first initial breakup from moving back. But like, I don't think I was necessarily working towards finding that path. I was content with being as stagnant or digressing as I was.
Right, and I can understand that. I can truly understand that. So I guess, and like I said, just me being devil advocate. So you never had the thought of, why am I in school? Before all that happened, you never had that thought of, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why is this stuff happening?
At that moment, because I was under the drugs, bro. Like,
Right.
I didn't have a thought of where am I going or anything like that. I was just doing shit. Mm-hmm. I was just doing drugs.
Right.
There was no, I'm trying to get better or anything like that. It was just, I'm just trying to have fucking fun.
Right.
And then flip.
Right. And like I said, the reason I asked is because, like I said, just to my understanding, and like I said, everybody's different. Everybody's experience is different. I just know that, and like I said, majority of the time when I hear the story of change and the transformation, it's always because the person had the question in their mind of what is happening. So like for me within Reno, I had the same type of epiphany. I was walking around campus and I was sitting here working. I was going to class. I was doing everything I was supposed to do, but I was just not happy with myself. And I was like, why am I here? What is really going on? What is really the purpose of like this? You know, like why am I in school? I could be at home. I could be chilling. I could be doing this, that, and the third, you know? And, you know, I literally sat outside one night and I just stared at the stars. And then that's when the jolt hit me of like, yo, bro, you're where you're supposed to be. Everything is fine. Like you're the first example of your family. Like all the answers started to come, and it was like, oh wow. And then right after that, like I said, I transformed. Like within 2 text messages, I texted Jessica at 10:05, and then I texted her by 10:10, and she was like, between that 5 minutes, I was a whole different person. She can just read it, and all my frat brothers saw it, and it was like, damn, I don't know what you just did, but whatever it is, what you needed. And it was like, everybody saw it, I felt it. But, you know, I guess my mindset is just like it said, though, it had to come from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Something had to lead me to this thought of, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, I had the thought of what I was doing, and then the answer came, you know?
So the one thing that it's kind of like a 2-part thing. One part is like the idea, and then the other part is just an ignorant way of looking at your situation. So, like Goku said, like to Gohan, Super Saiyan doesn't come from a want; it comes from a need. Mm-hmm. So, like you can say, I want all the fuck you want, but until you need to do it, it's not gonna fucking happen.
Right.
So, with your situation, we could technically call the progressive, like, for lack of a better phrase, like drug abuse, right? We could call that the training to get you to that spot where God was able to talk to you on that type of time, where the morph happened. So, like, yeah, all that dumb shit was a negative, but it was a negative to, like, give you some momentum to hit that fucking shit.
Which is why I posed the question, so are we still counting any type of change, whether positive or negative, would lead you to that transformation?
Yeah, and I believe that all change in life is positive. You know what I'm saying? I feel that the only time change is negative is when you give it the negative connotation. You know what I'm saying? It's all about how you see it. Like I said, my favorite line is always, you have people out there that see problems and they get down, defeat, and beat themselves up. And you got other people that see problems and they get hyped up because having a new problem means new growth is coming and new opportunities are coming and new life is coming. So it's like, if you don't have any problems, you might as well kill yourself because you're not really living life. But they say if you actually have problems and you're going through stuff and things are making you change and grow, you living. You know what I'm saying? You living, because that's what life is about, is always adjusting, growing, stretching, whatever. You're literally going, and that's my mindset too. Like, you know, people talk about retiring. Oh, I can't wait to retire. I plan on working until I die. I plan on working until I'm in a wheelchair and they have to put the damn life thing on me at that die. Like, whatever the hell the case may be, I plan on doing that because at the end of the day, I know I can continue to learn something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I learned something today. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot of things today. And it was like, this is just in one day. So I can just continue to learn. So that's like me too, you know. A lot of people are scared of change. You know what I'm saying? Scared. Change is scary and people don't want to change. And that's like another thing too of when life forces you to change, you know, so I do understand that as well. But yeah, that's just me personally though. I have that vision in my mind that, yeah, you know, I may be done reading this book, but shit, there's a million more books I haven't read yet on topics that I haven't even touched on yet. You know, I love watching Modern Marvels on my TV right now because it always talks about shit that I never thought about. Yeah. Like, you know, how does sun actually convert into light or energy? You know what I'm saying? That's some deep shit. You're like, ooh. That was interesting. Yeah. But
because like just another point on that as well, it's like all of these people that like say felons and all that kind of stuff, and they like or like heavy drug dealers and all this type of shit, and then or like gangbangers, and then they end up turning their life around and then helping out the communities and shit, like trying to help other people. So like they had to go through all that shit to begin with, even though it's like a quote unquote negative change in their life. It's a negative spiral. But if they didn't go through all that shit, they wouldn't be able to relate to these kids the way that they do, and then help be able to get them on a better path.
Exactly.
Themselves. So like they had to go down so that they could hit that motherfucker hard. They could hit the trampoline at the bottom to go all the way the fuck up.
So, okay, then what necessarily is that negative change? In my opinion, right? So is that from the point of being like necessarily neutral and then deciding to go down that dark path? Is that the change that made the catalyst? Is that early ass change the change that made the catalyst to make the morphing?
Can you explain it again?
So like, so let's say you decide to do drugs, right? And then you just continuously just do it, right? You made one change. There wasn't necessarily like a continuing. You just made this one beeline towards one thing, and you continuously do that. You made that a habit. At that point, you're not necessarily changing. You're just continuing down a path. Is that one change that's happening? Is that the one change that happened to make the turnaround, or is that like a series of if you went down that path, are you necessarily thinking about changing into any other direction? Are you necessarily having a thought of what am I doing or anything of the sort?
My mindset is why did you turn on the path? Something had to turn you to that path. So it's like you had at some point you was at a crossroads. You had to make an A and B: hit the blunt or don't hit the blunt. And something made you in your mind say, you know what, I want to hit this blunt. So it's like, okay, why did you hit the blunt then? Something, you had to veer at some point. At some point you had to make the choice to make that thing. So you making that choice is now a change. You know what I'm saying? Because now you went from, it's like how they always say, I don't know if the Spider-Verse, you know what I'm saying? They always say life is like a web, and every time you make a decision, it goes off in two different directions, and now you're living in two different movies. You have the Diamond over here that never did drugs, finished college, and never did music, and you have the Diamond over here that went through his life thing, created music, and started a podcast. You know what I'm saying? You have two different paths. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I always kind of see it. Like, this one decision right now could be a change could be, who knows how many changes this can be. Me saying I want to go to the gym could lead to me saying I want to go to the gym could lead me to saying, you know what, I'm becoming vegan, to me saying I'm done with sugar, to me saying I'm growing all my old vegetables, to me building a garden and now I got a restaurant full of fresh foods, compared to the same thing. Me saying I want to do drugs is going to lead me to say I want to party, is going to lead me to saying I want to go and have sex with people unprotected, is leading me to now I'm working at the dump because I need to pay for my 3 baby mamas and keep my crack cocaine, whatever the hell it had the addiction going, So I feel like that little bitty choice is going to lead to major change until you make yourself aware that you're going to do that or what you're doing, And that's me. I practice a lot of mindfulness lately. So like my thing is stop and how am I feeling right now? How do I feel right now? You know what I'm saying? Like the girl in the field. I had all emotions. I could tell her go off. At some point, I was laid on the field laughing at her. Like, I'm sitting here laughing like, ooh, she don't know me. I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, she don't know me. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like, nah, I want to do something I haven't never done before, though. Let me do something that's 100% different from what I'm used to. And report me, please. Tell on me. Snitch on me. Get me in trouble. Do it. I dare you. I got a new friend now. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that little change led somewhere different than I was. I could have popped off. What that could have led to? That could have led to me losing my job. You know what I'm saying? That little bitty difference of what path to take right now, who knows where it's going to lead you to, And like you said, yes, you were on a dark path, but then it led you somewhere bright. So it's like, we can't question why you were on that path. You know what I'm saying? All we know is that path led you to somewhere where you're supposed to be. But then that leads into my ultimate question, which I kind of want to probably wrap up with, is how hard is it to be accepted or to accept the new change that you are now? For example, always think of the line, once a hoe, always a hoe. you know how that should be. You see Stacy that, you know, she slept with the whole school and now she in church praising God, and you're like, really? I don't know if you can redo that. She probably still doing it on the side, or you know, where the case may be, how everybody always see your past as who you are. So I guess I'm just curious on like how difficult is it for that to be recognized, that change, that acceptance of your change or their change. How difficult is that from for you guys' perspective? If that even makes sense.
I think people. There's always constant change, but people also are very resistant to change if they're not being conscious of it.
If they don't want to change, exactly.
Yeah, if they don't want to change, or like if shit is still going just fine, going this way, but they could put a little bit more effort and be like a little bit better. A lot of people are just gonna keep going down the same path. It's like, fuck, I'm tired. I already worked my 9 to 5. Like,
right.
Y'all got your extra shit going on. I got my extra shit going on. I'm good, bro. Like, I'm cool. So, like, people are just resistant to change anyway.
Right.
So when people make dramatic changes like that, it's difficult for them to rewire themselves because they've already been judgmental of you. So then it forces them to have to make a change in their mindset, or to just double down and just be ignorant on some shit. And I'm guilty of that too. I'm judgmental as hell, like in my own mind, and then I gotta catch myself and be like, who the fuck am I?
Right.
Yeah.
And then just let people rock. But for people to accept change, very difficult. Even like within yourself too. Like when you make a specific change for yourself, positive or negative in your own eyes,
You fight it.
it's fucking difficult as shit.
I was gonna say, like, even last night, like I said, I was supposed to, I already had a ticket to go to a rave, and I just decided not to, no matter what the fuck anybody told me, for like the past 2 weeks. And it's weird. I'm not sure necessarily how to fully accept it or realize what that change was, or how to kind of just accept that's who I am now, given that I'm doing school. I still have the podcast. We're about to do a show. I'm trying to get back into music so I can make another album, and you know, try to get back into the gym if I can, but also take care of self-care and make sure I'm good, because if the well's empty, blah 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 blah. Right. But to accept that and also accept all of the perks that come with that, positive or negative, I would say it's pretty difficult no matter what. Unless you're just on like a hot streak, and it's like, oh cool, I made this change, like I'm this person now.
Right,
but like, even if it's a good change, I feel like it's still difficult because you're so used to how you were before. Like, I mean, bring up fucking Dragon Ball Z again, right? So when fucking Vegeta went Majin, right? Like that whole purpose was like, yo, I used to be A-class warrior. Like I used to be supreme. I was a prince, bro. I used to go around to fucking different planets, robbing them, pillaging them, and then fucking blow that shit up because I can, or fucking sell it and make fortunes.
I fought for the sheer pleasure of it.
Right.
And what did he want Babidi to do, Donovan?
You want to give him back that old heart,
He
bro.
wanted him to return me to the way he was before.
That.
Oh.
Great.
He couldn't accept the change
Of him.
He's subjectively positive change, right, from everybody outside of him. It's like, oh yeah, he's not, you know, murking everybody on the earth right now.
But even
he's fighting for it.
Even himself, he said, I had a wife and a kid, and I grew quite fond of them. I was living a decent life. But fuck that, we going back to the trenches.
I want to go back to the trenches, yeah. He wanted to be a savage again. He wanted to be his own person again.
And in a sense, like, even though Vegeta's not my favorite character, he's definitely a fucking great character and shit like that, but I understand that sentiment, especially now, because, you know, as I'm in this new form of person that I am today, like, with trying to get past the anxieties of socializing and not being too uncomfortable in situations when I knew myself before, I could literally just go up to talking to anybody. Yeah, I was still introverted, I still kept to myself, but I didn't have that much problem with it. But now I just have this problem, and albeit I am in a way better mental space and life space than I was before, but it's like, man, sometimes I do wish that I still had that sociability, because that would make everything else better. But I have to figure out who I am now and how to make that shit work so I can get that ability back without going back to whatever the fuck I was, being ignorant to all of the nuances of life and just being destructive.
Right.
So I would say it's difficult. It's difficult to accept yourself or comparatively somebody else and their changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I fully agree. I feel like, it's always that sense of like every cell in your body wants you to do A, and you should do B. Like you telling yourself you should do B, but your body wants you to do A, So it kind of like, for me, it kind of like lets me know who rules. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let my body rule, I'm gonna let my mind and spirit rule. So that's when I start to do it. But yeah, no, I agree. It's super difficult, definitely, to accept people changes. I always find that super hard. Definitely, people you grew up with, and you just see them around, it's kind of like, wow, you're doing that now? Really? I didn't know you was like this, you know what I'm saying? Or like, does your husband know you were like this in high school? Stuff like that. And it's like, but at the same time, they're grown now. They're different. Years later, who knows what they're doing now? Now they're a parent, they're a mother, they're a dad, they're a freaking coach, counselor, conjureman, whatever the hell you want to call it. So I think that's something that I've been working on personally, and it's just the idea of just accepting everybody for who they are, where they are at time in life, and understand that everybody's going to change at some point, positive or negative. They're going to change. One of my favorite quotes is, the 4 rules of life. You exist. We're all connected. The only constant in change, and nothing else would change besides those. Everything else. Sorry. You exist. We're all connected. The only constant is change, and everything else would change besides those 3 rules. And you can apply that with any stage, any moment in your life. You know what I'm saying? You exist. You're here. You're breathing. You can see. You're connected. You have a mom, you have a dad, you have a coach, you have a boss, you have customers. You're connected with humans in some way, shape, or form. Only thing constant is change. At some point, the price of the dollar is going to change. Your hair is going to change. Your bones going to change. Every 7 months, every cell in your body has died and regrew to a whole new cell. So every 7 months, you're a whole new person. So the only constant is change, and everything else will change beside those rules. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what you do in life, this light is going to die at some point. You know what I'm saying? The room going to go from bright to dark at some point. You know what I'm saying? It's going to rain at some point. The sun's going to set. The sun's going to rise. Wind's going to come. Change is always going to happen no matter what. And that's something I feel that when you learn to truly accept change to the fullest, it doesn't scare you no more. You like you said, you expect it. You're excited for it. You're hoping for it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we hope for change. You know what I'm saying? Not really knowing what we're hoping for, but we hope for something different. So, yeah, I love that. So, yeah, I know we're going over the time a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure we're going to circle back to this topic for sure. But I just wanted, is anybody, switch it. Where are you guys still swimming to when it comes to change in your life?
Just finding balance. I feel like that I'm still trying to find that change into like better management of my energy, especially with everything that I'm doing. And then also per conversation that we had a couple days ago, also just trying to decide like what avenue I should really focus on to excel in, so that I can get where I need to be, or that I want to be, whether that state will turn up or not. But I mean, it's still something that will change because I don't want to necessarily be stuck at where I'm at currently. It's not bad, I'm doing fine, but I still want better for myself and those around me.
Understandable. Yeah. Understandable.
I'd say for me, just like believing in myself a little bit more, I guess, or like being able to double down on making decisions for myself to put me into a better spot. Just because a lot of times I just don't really give a fuck, like, because I'm gonna die at the end of this life anyway. So it's like I can live it how I want to live it, but I'm also tired as hell. Like bills, work, normal people shit drags on you, and then you get drained from doubling down on the shit that you want to do.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. And so a lot of times it's just easier to do one thing. So that's that difficult change for me. Is just putting in that extra effort to get myself to a better spot.
Right. I love that. So for me, I think I kind of said it already, but it's just that personal acceptance of change, whatever aspect of life it is. I'm really trying to come to the conclusion that, like you said, everything in life is going to change somewhat, but I do understand that I have the power to control the change in some way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's, and majority of that power belongs to me. You know what I'm saying? Majority of that is in my mind, in my heart, in my spirit. So it's like, how do I accept the change? Am I going to accept the change, or do I just fight against it and be angry because I'm fighting something? So my mindset is really just truly accept whatever change is coming, accept what I have right now, knowing that it can change at some point. You know what I'm saying? I love my house, but that bitch can burn down tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let me accept it and love it right now, because at some point all of this can change. Nothing is promised tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? None of us can wake up tomorrow, real talk. So it's like, accept the change, accept what you have right now. Yes, hope for change, pray for change. You know, you control a lot of your change, but don't just fight against it. You can't fight against it. You have to accept it. If you try to fight against it, it is gonna hurt. It is gonna hurt very, very bad, and you're gonna lose your mind. You're gonna wonder why nobody wanna hang out with you no more, and why the price of alcohol raised up, and all your vices are now more expensive. And it's like, nigga, change is talking to you, but you're not listening. So you need to accept it. You know what I'm saying? It's talking, but you gotta listen. So yeah, that's why I'm really working on the personal growth, change, acceptance mindset. Cool. Is there a quote that anybody would like to leave about change?
Nah, we already talked about Majin Vegeta, so I'm cool.
No, I understand
Majin
that.
Vegeta, the realest motherfucker like, in an anime, bro. To me, that man doubled down on evil, bro, just to win the ones.
1v1.
He just wanted to win the ones, bro.
And technically he didn't win because dude wasn't going full out. So.
And we don't have to talk about that.
So the quote I have is something interesting. I can't really put it in perfect words right now. I kind of heard it the other day. But this one dude was talking about perfection. I think it was an anime, some little anime skit. He was talking about perfection. And he was talking about, why do I want to be perfect? If I get to perfect, there's nothing else to go. Like, once you get to perfect, you can't go past perfect. So it's like, I never want to be perfect. I always want to be improving. I always want to be getting better. I want to be stronger, but I never want to be done 100% perfect.
Yeah.
I always want to know that I have room to keep getting better, keep growing, keep getting stronger. And I think I kind of like really love that line, the idea of, that is deep. Once you get to perfect, I hate to say this, yeah, there's nothing else to do, you know what I'm saying? And they always talk about a lot of times when, look this up, a lot of people that retire, they usually die within a year after they retire because they stop pursuing life. They stop chasing life. They stop trying to get better, growing, being social, doing whatever they can to get better. They just stop it. And because you stop it, you know, you die. And they always say, I think Earl Nightingale said the best, how do I say it correctly? If you're not growing, you're dead. Pretty much. You should always be growing. You know, once you stop growing, you pretty much are dead. You might as well be dead, because a dead plant doesn't grow. You know, anything dead doesn't grow. But anything that's living grows consistently, always. Mm-hmm. Even if you gotta prune it back, they continue to grow. So it's like, that's something I'm really pushing for. So push for that change, push to always have change, because having change makes you human. It's a part of life. It's something you can't avoid. It's something you have to learn to accept. You know, like you need oxygen. If you try to say, I don't need oxygen, you might as well just put a pillow over your head and go to sleep forever. Because you need it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You need it. So it's like, just accept it, becomes ones with it, and learn how to use it in your power. Learn how to take advantage of it, you know? A lot of change starts with your self-conscious mind. So recently I've been practicing this mantra affirmation. I am one with the infinite riches of my self-conscious mind. It is my right to be rich, happy, and successful. Money flows to me freely, copiously, and endlessly. I am forever conscious of my true self-worth. I give of my talents freely, and I am wonderfully blessed financially. It feels wonderful. And I'm trying to get that into my heart, because I know that if I get that to my heart, my mind will make everything I'm asking for come to fruition. You know what I'm saying? Help me see it. So Yeah, control what you want to change. Change your thoughts. You tired of thinking negative about Stacy? You can control that. You can switch that up. You know what I'm saying? You tired of being aggravated? You control that. You switch that up. You know, yes, you can't control the plane fall off the sky, but you can control how you react to it, you know? So that's my mindset for change. Yeah, control. You can control a lot more than you think you can. A lot of people think they don't have control. You have a lot of control. You have way more control than you think. You know, problems always come find me. Well, maybe you attract problems with your thoughts. Maybe we should switch that up. You know, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's my quotes, topics, whatever. Sorry, I went on.
No, you
but
good.
Yeah, that's kind of my passion. You know, y'all know I consistently try to grow every single day. So, yeah. Anything else anybody would like to leave for today's episode? No, got a little hot in here, but you know, healthy conversation is always good for the soul. So,
yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Good, G?
Good, chilling.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody out there listening. Hope you guys had a wonderful day, marvelous afternoon, a splendid evening. Be ready for the Just Keep Swimming Live dropping this Friday, October 27th. It'll be available on IG Live, but if you're in Vegas and you would like to be a part of the podcast, please come down, reach out to us for the address. We'll get that to you, or you can go sign on Meetup and we'll give you the address right away. In this podcast, like I said, we're doing something completely different. We're asking for audience participation. So if you guys will be there, you actually help us out. You can possibly get on camera, get a shout out, and you can buy some merch. We've got Just Keep Swimming shirts coming out, as well as some other products. So please be aware of that. Yeah, hope everybody has a great episode. Oh my gosh, have a great day. Enjoyed this great episode. And yeah, stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day, marvelous afternoon, a splendid evening, and remember to
just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
I'm gonna dive.
Swimming, keep just.
Just keep, swim, clip.
Swimming, keep just.
Flow, bloom, bloom, bloom. Bloom, bloom, bloom. Bloom, bloom. Bloom, bloom, bloom. I don't know where that's from.